Let's get into the Wednesday wrangle with Liz Storer, a Sky News host, here on the desk with me, of course, and columnist and broadcaster Justin Smith in Melbourne. Justin, I've got to get your thoughts first up about these doctors I highlighted at the top of the program, Doctors for the Environment, going to Canberra, telling everybody that fossil fuels are a health hazard, that we're all being killed by fossil fuels. They just haven't noticed that the whole of civilization and medical science and education and healthcare and food production is what's delivered this healthy, prosperous society. Do you think they need to listen up?
You've really got that Trump talk going well, haven't you, with that? I don't think the report actually said we're all being killed by fossil fuels. I don't think that's what it actually said. And do you not want to hear about doctors from something like this? Do you not think that they might know a little bit more than the three of us about what is a health hazard and what isn't? And why are we actually trying to reduce carbon emissions then if it's not a health hazard? I mean, why is your mate Peter Dutton talking about nuclear power and making us sort of like emissions free if it's not actually trying to make us healthier? So what's the bloody point of the whole thing?
I think they've demonstrated, Liz, that they don't know about science. They've got science degrees, but they don't understand what the whole of civilization relies on. Certainly. And they're pretending that fossil fuels are a problem.
I think after the last 4 years, they don't have much credibility left. But then for doctors to come out with this is perfectly laughable.
They finally let us out of our houses and stop injecting us. Now they're saying, give up your cars and your electricity.
I'm like, honestly. And they must know, as any rational person understands, if we were to quit fossil fuels any faster than we are now, and that's already to our great detriment, but if we were to speed up the process, the economy would be in the trash. We'd all be plunged into poverty.
And there'd be massive health problems. People would die.
Exactly. So what do you want from us? And I hope that this isn't something that the government is now going to rely on and highlight in an effort to put pedal to the metal.
The government was there.
Already damaging measures because
a junior minister was there
with regard to this transition.
Yeah, Assistant Health Minister Jed Carney, former union leader, she was there apparently. So the government is buying in.
They're
Lord
doctors.
Ridiculous.
We're not doctors.
Like I say, Justin, after the last 4 years, I'm sorry, the sacred trust between doctors and the public has been irreparably broken.
Next, you're going to tell us that.
Well, there was a lot of crap flying around back then, wasn't there?
Trust the experts, my friends.
Next, you're going to be telling us we should listen to Reagan because she's a doctor too. She's got a PhD. Now, let's get on to our great mate, Paul Keating, former Prime Minister, who's, look, let's be frank, a bit of a China apologist, a reasonably well-informed and experienced China apologist. Here's what he said about China on the ABC last week and when it comes to Taiwan.
I mean, what this is all about is the Chinese laying claim to Taiwan. And the Americans are going to say, no, we're going to keep these Taiwanese people protected, even though they're sitting on Chinese real estate.
Chinese real estate, virtually an open invitation. China, come back and grab Taiwan whenever you like. Now, I don't agree with Nancy Pelosi on much, but she's right about Keating and that statement. Have a look.
Well, you don't want to get my description of him for saying that. That's ridiculous. It is not Chinese real estate, and he should know that. Taiwan is Taiwan, and it's of the people of Taiwan who have a democracy there. I think that was a stupid statement I have no idea about Keating, but I think it was a stupid statement to make. And I don't know what his connection is to China that he would say such a thing. But it is really not in the security interest of the Asian Pacific region for people to talk that way.
Yeah, there we go. Nancy Pelosi, she's right. But I mean, look, we all can understand Keating pushing back against people who are sabre-rattling and being too aggressive on this. But you want some ambiguity over this. You don't want to be inviting the communist behemoth just to take over Taiwan.
Outright stating Taiwan is China. I mean, what was this man thinking? And while Pelosi opposes him but says, I don't know about this Keating fellow, well, we do, Pelosi. And he spent, I believe it was 13 years on the CCP payroll. So while he's not been paid by them for quite some time. It seems old habits stick hard. He just can't seem to stop being this massive apologist for China. He's a fanboy.
Yeah, he's a fanboy and he's very anti-American in his old age. Can you come in and defend the former Prime Minister, Justin?
Oh, no, I wouldn't. I don't think we should be afraid of what he's got to say. I think we should be able to hear from him. But I'm actually thinking there was a conspiracy or a plan put together by Paul Keating to bring Pelosi and Sky News together as one. I think,
is a very cold
it was
day in hell.
a master plan. I've got to say, executed it beautifully.
Well, exactly. Nancy Pelosi is a good friend of many of us now because she managed to talk Joe Biden into pulling out, and now she's put Paul Keating in his place. Hey, let's go to this ID, this digital ID thing that the government's now pushing. Bill Shorten's been out there pushing it strongly. This is not going to be forced on you, they say now. Apparently, it's opt-in only. Here's a Channel 9 report filling us in on some of the details.
The federal government announcing the introduction of a national gold standard digital ID called Trust Exchange, or TEX. Using the MyGov wallet on your phone, the technology will store information such as a person's date of birth, passport details, address, citizenship and occupational licences, or working with children checks, all information already held by the government.
With the work currently being done, MyGov users will be able to add more cards and certificates to the MyGov wallet, including from state government and entire private industry.
Well, Justin, we're the government. You can trust us. Give us all your information and we'll let you know when you can get into venues and when you can't. What do you reckon?
Do you get the feeling that this is actually just going to fizz out in a couple of months and somebody's going to turn around and say, hey, what was that Bill Shorten thing with the old ID? You know, what was all that about? I've just got the feeling that no one's going to adopt it in any way, shape or form, because I look at this and I think, what's actually in it for us? What's in it for the people? What are we actually going to get out of this? So I'm not necessarily suspicious. I think it's just one of those exercises they think is going to win over the electorate, but the electorate says, I'm not getting anything out of it.
I'm going to show Liz something I can't show you at home very well. I'm going to show Liz something that's going to raise her blood pressure. I keep this. This is my vaccination passport. I keep this to remind myself of just how crazy governments can get. Remember, you couldn't turn up at the pub unless you had your vaccination bloody passport. This thing has got... watch out written all over it.
Yeah, well, I never had a vaccine passport.
No.
I never got the jab.
That's why I couldn't see you at the pub.
Well, it was a sacrifice that I was happy to make and would make again in order to remain jab-free. But the fact that they're actually calling this Trust Exchange just goes to show how stupid the parasitic class think you and I are. All of a sudden they're trying to convince us, oh, aren't you sick of showing your driver's license? Isn't it terrible travelling with a passport? Nobody thinks that's onerous. Literally no one's complained about it. And when we're agreeing to a digital ID, they're being so dishonest about what this is. We are talking about centralised data on each and every one of us. The capacity to store information is massive, and at a time when we've got people being arrested in the UK for comments that they've made on social media, this is going to give the government the capacity to go back years in time and build a case against someone who is a very innocent person.
And it's on your phone, so they can track you too.
Exactly.
So of course, they'll say they won't, but this is the concern that people have. We're nearly out of time. I do just want to squeeze in, before we finish, something about Reagan. We haven't mentioned her much tonight. Have a look at this picture of the Qantas tail, the flying kangaroo. There's a new one put together. Don't tell me our graphics can't even put that up for us. No, here it is. This is the new tail art for Qantas jets. No more flying kangaroo. We've got the ray gun jumping kangaroo. I do absolutely love that. Thanks so much for wrangling with us again. Liz Storer, she'll be back with the late debate. And Justin Smith will catch up with you next week.